Hello, welcome back to another episode of Indie Game Social Club. It's been a long summer break and we're back with our peachy folders, our smelly erasers, our JanSport backpacks. I'm today's stream master and shy wielder Brian. With me today, I have the lovely, the beautiful Ilker.
Hello.
Hello, Ilker. How have you been, buddy?
Been good. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been a while.
Yeah, what have you been doing with your Swedish midsummer?
Was that the last time we spoke?
Yeah,
Really?
I believe so. I mean, outside of chatting in our group
Oh
chat.
shit, yeah, midsummer. I don't even remember what I did midsummer. That was June.
Yeah. And then,
But yeah,
yeah.
and then we had July. I had 4 weeks vacation by the end of July. I mean, I worked the entire summer, and hung out with my family for 2 weeks, and then I went to Turkey for another 2 weeks, and yeah, after that I've just been working,
So
slaving
there
off.
were fires in Turkey at the time.
There
Did that
were.
reach your family or anything like that? Or the smoke at least?
No, it didn't. As I told my friend, the only fire there was me, laying
Ooh,
on the
so
beach.
hot. Yeah. Yeah.
No, actually, there was a lot of fires going around through the country, but not right there on the west coast that we were hanging out. I was.
Gotcha.
So yeah,
Nice.
but we did actually have a flood in my hometown. Luckily, both my parents and my brother's houses, they made it safe. But
Oh man.
we call it they were safe, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
a lot of other
That's right.
basements that just were
There was
flooded.
a period where it's fires, floods, like there are insane floods around the world. Like Germany had those insane floods, like China had those crazy
Oh yeah, that
floods.
was
Like
actually yeah,
it looked like the apocalypse, but glad
that
your
was so
family's
weird
all
as well.
right.
But yeah, they are all right, but and it was so weird because like that like rain weather, that rain cloud was so local. Like it was just over my
It
hometown.
just
It's
just
like
followed you.
it's just some kind. I wasn't even there. I was in Turkey,
Oh,
so I mean,
oh,
it's just like someone just broke a curse or some spell just over
yeah.
that region.
Yeah, no human
Um,
sacrifice that year.
yeah, that was a weird week. Get a
Yeah.
call from my brother, and it was like, we're flooded. We're just gonna stay home because there's just water everywhere.
Damn, that's wild. Well, on the topic of Indie Game Social Club, what games have you
Uh-huh.
been playing lately?
Um, Let me think. Last
There have
time we
been
spoke,
quite a
I
few,
was.
yeah.
I mean, it hasn't been that many. Like I've been focusing on some other stuff. Like you know me. I paint a lot of Warhammer, and I've been trying to finish some of that. I think we have someone
I
joining us
see
for the first time.
someone. Oh my God, is that America's sweetheart, Ben London? Ben, while you get that sorted out, me and you're looks like you're muted. Just scream at us when you can start talking. We'll let you know if we can hear you. But we got since we last had our last discussion, we had a brand new member to Indie Game Social Club that I'm really excited to introduce, and that is Ben London. And he is someone I know from video production. He is a cinematographer, very talented, and fellow nerd and indie game enthusiast. So, with that said, we'll continue. Oh,
Oh,
hey, look at that
great timing.
cinematography on that back. My God, what camera are you using? It says you're muted, so you have like a manual mute. There you go. Can you
There you
Can you
talk?
hear
go.
me?
Yes.
Yeah,
How's it
hello.
going? How's
Hey.
everybody?
Good, good,
Good. How
good.
are you? Welcome.
Good to see you.
Welcome. All right, so I would like to give Ben London a warm Indie Game Social Club welcome. Everyone say hi to America's sweetheart and dual wielder, Ben London.
Hi,
Well,
Ben.
thank you. Nice to be here. Thanks for
Eh,
having me.
yeah, our pleasure. Hey, Ben, tell us who you are, what you do, and what kind of games you like.
Well, my name is Ben. I'm a San Francisco-based DP cinematographer, and I like all kinds of games, including isometric dungeon crawlers.
Nice.
Yeah.
Have you been playing any other games, indie or otherwise, in the meantime?
Well, I just picked up Icewind Dale for Switch, and
Ooh,
it's old school, and I'm slowly
yeah.
making my way through, but it is hard.
It's a
Nice.
great game though.
Wait, what is
I love
is
that series.
what universe is that from a franchise? Icewind Dale? Is that?
I think it's in the same universe as Baldur's Gate.
Oh, okay, there you go. Yeah, there were a lot of man. You're retroing hard, huh? Final Fantasy VIII into that and Icewind Dale. That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Going full old school.
Yeah. B Zagor in chat says hello. So welcome, hello, and welcome B Zagor to the chat as well. So we were going into intros. Ilker was telling us what he's been up to. Ilker, what have you been playing? And actually, why don't you go ahead and give Ben an intro for yourself? Who you are, what you do, what you've been playing, what kind of games you like.
I'm Ilker. You can probably guess from my accent, I am not a native American speaker. I live in Sweden. And I work as a social media specialist at an agency, and I play video games on my free time and paint Warhammer miniatures. And I think we might have some common interests in some RPGs. I played a lot of Baldur's Gate and Icewind Dale growing up. They're like very dear to me. Um, Also, really looking forward to that new Baldur's Gate game that's going to release
Oh, is that the one
sometime
in
maybe next year.
space? Am I?
No, that is a Baldur's Gate 3 game coming up.
Oh, wow.
It might be next year. It is the same people that did the Divinity games that we have still not played together.
Oh, that's right. I owned it, and my
Baldur's Gate
playtime.
in space sounds cool.
Yeah, I thought they were doing. Yeah, like they did some teaser of a game, and it was like in space, and like people were freaking out because there was like a map that looked like the either a Baldur's Gate map or a Skyrim map or something like that. But I could be dreaming. I could have dreamt that.
I'm not sure what game that is.
Yeah. Anywho,
Like the red thing,
yeah. What other games have you been playing?
I've been playing Scarlet Nexus. I think that was the last game that we talked about before going on a break, and I beat that game.
Wow.
That was a awesome game. I really liked that game. Like I just kept on doing battles. I was like, some RPGs you might get tired of doing battles because it gets repetitive.
Yeah, the
This was
grind.
just like super fun. Yeah, but it was like all these battles was super fun. I just wanted to keep fighting.
How does their battle
So,
system work? Is it more active, like the Final Fantasy VII
yeah,
remake?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, a lot of like that. You have your cooldowns that you can use. You have your team members, which is basically your cooldown. So you're doing basic attacks and advanced attacks, and like I think we talked about that. Like you can like throw buses and cars at people with like psychic powers,
Yeah.
and activate your team members to do some special attacks. And it was super fun. And that game is like it is split into two games or two stories. Like you have the male protagonist, and then you have the female protagonist. And I finished the male one, so you get one side of the story. And if you finish the next one, you get
Oh,
the other
like
side of the
like
story,
Resident
basically.
Evil, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Parallel
Is
stories.
it a turn-based RPG, or is it
No, it
like
is
sort of like a
action.
Tales thing?
It is. I think it's the same studio that make the Tales. It is at least Bandai Namco that publishes it, but it is.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it plays just like the Tales games, but just very smoother.
Nice. Yeah, usually like with Bandai Namco, they have a very specific art style with the games that they publish. It's usually like really
Yeah.
high frame rate, really crisp, not like the best textures in my opinion, but always like really sharp and unique kind of artwork that I've seen.
I mean, I started playing this on PlayStation 4, and it looked good. And then I did the PS5 upgrade, and it looked really good on PS5, and
Nice.
it runs really smoothly as well. So
But yeah, Ben, I can't get over how good your picture looks. It's so good.
it looks great. It's so
It took me a
sharp.
while.
The most
I
HD.
realized we were in Discord, not Zoom. I had to actually pull out the camera because I was like, "Oh, it's not out of focus."
Just use my camera as a preference to
Nice.
see how bad it can be.
Going up in quality as we.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So with that said, why don't we move on to our monthly discussion?
Sure.
All right. So, with that said, this month's game, now that we're going back to original format, which is a book club with no books, let's talk about Boyfriend Dungeon. Ilker, tell us about
Sure.
Boyfriend Dungeon.
Boyfriend Dungeon is, what do you call it? A dating sim slash dungeon crawler. It is published by Kit Fox Games.
Mm-hmm.
It is a Montreal-based studio in Canada, and it is co-founded by
Yeah,
Tanya
go ahead.
Short,
Yeah, yeah. Female
Jung Hoon
led.
Kim, and Shinran Liu. I'm sorry for butchering the names.
Mm.
Yep. But yeah, it's three people that co-founded it, and I guess there's a lot more people working on the Boyfriend Dungeon. But I know that Tanya Shot is the lead designer, lead on this game. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's in an ideal world, it shouldn't matter to call out whether the gender of a developer, but there are very few female lead developers out there, and I think it's really cool that we can call that out. You know.
sure.
But with that said, we can start talking about the game, which is
I
like, so
mean,
let's go into like, well, so you said it was part dungeon crawler, part dating
exactly.
sim. Dating sims are not
Mhm.
really, I don't know how they are in Sweden, but they're not really popular in the US. I mean, a few have become like cult following here, like say
Yeah.
Doki Doki Literature Club, and what was it, daddy dating one, where it was like dads dating other dads or
Oh
something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, what was that game? That
And then
was
there was one where it was like
Dream Daddy.
pigeons. What was it?
Yeah, this I think it's Dream Daddy
Dream
and
Daddy, yeah.
Hatoful Boyfriend. Yeah.
Yeah, and the pigeon dating one as well was
It was
like went viral.
Hatoful Boyfriend, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Ilker
I
knows
mean,
his dating
it
sims.
is. I'm not a dating sim expert. I played a lot of like games with dating sim elements in them.
Mhm.
Baldur's Gate being one of them,
Oh,
definitely.
interesting.
But then you have the what do you call that? What's the name of that super popular space game Odyssey with three games? The
Well, there's
Normandy.
Mass Effect.
Mass Effect,
Oh,
exactly.
Mass
Yeah.
Effect. Oh, that had
That also has
dating
like,
aspects.
I
Okay.
mean,
All
yeah, I
right.
mean, you have the romance,
Right, right.
Yeah, pretty much all of
features.
BioWare's modern RPGs have an element of that.
That's
Yeah,
true. Yeah, there's like
and
decision trees that lead you down different relationship paths with
definitely,
people, right? Yeah, yeah. Gotcha.
yeah. So, I mean, it is a dating game, but in the sense that you would say a dating game, like it's usually this visual novel. You choose answers and questions. That's
Yep.
basically the gist of it.
And then
Would you
Um,
say, based on if you've played other sort of dating games or that are kind of like visual novels, was the length of this or the length of kind of each character's arc, would you say that's kind of typical, or is it short or longer than normal?
I have not finished this game, so I'm afraid to speak up on that. But I have a feeling that it's a common length of the arc. But then again, it feels like there's an overarching story as well going on, and these characters are also like entangled in that. But that is just the like the notion that I get from playing 3 or 4 hours of this game.
yeah. Well, from my opinion and my perspective, the only like hard dating sim I've played, I guess, is Doki Doki Literature Club, which is, I mean, it's a horror game disguised as a dating sim, but also the
Exactly, I was
dating
just gonna
sim
say
elements
that.
are still very much dating
Sure.
sim game, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
right? And so from my experience of that, like most dating sim games seem relatively shallow and paint by numbers. And I
Yeah.
think, in my opinion, watching this game unfold and seeing the relationships that you build with these people feel like they have a little bit more depth and feel like they really actively want to address certain issues and the complexities of actual dating in real life, you know.
Yeah.
um,
I mean, dating sims, it is originally a Japanese genre,
mhm.
and I think like since both Boyfriend Dungeon and Doki Doki Literature Club are two games that have got some traction, they are Western main, so maybe they are more better suited for Western audience, or like it's more made for the Western audience.
Right, right,
Could be that. Just guessing, but
right. Story wise so far, so I will say I'm probably about 5 hours into the game. How far are you guys in?
I think I'm like 3 or 4 hours in.
Yeah.
I just met the seven guy.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. We'll hold on that for a bit because that gets me very excited. Meeting 7. Yeah, I'm at the 5-hour mark, and I had just met the cat.
Oh, there's a cat. Okay.
Yeah, we'll
Oh,
just say,
Pocket.
yeah. Are we comfortable with spoilers in this discussion? I'm
For
comfortable
sure.
with them if you
I
are.
mean, I am.
And
Ben, you'll.
I beat the game last night.
Okay.
oh,
Perfect.
I was
nice,
close, and then I made it. I was like, I got to power through before we go.
nice. And how many hours do you think you spent on the game?
I think maybe 8 hours. Not too bad.
Yeah, so it's a short and sweet game. I want to say that's
Yeah.
kind of nice about that, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think 8 hours is perfect for a
Yeah,
game.
not too short, not too long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely felt at the end. It's like, oh, I wanted a little bit more, but if anything, I'll take
Mm,
that feeling over like the other feeling of like, oh my
yeah.
God, that was like 20 hours longer than it needed to be.
Yeah. Well, so in your opinion, then, would you that in response to that, is it like you wanted more because it was cool, or you wanted more because it felt like kind of lacking something?
It was a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I liked everything in the game, but there was a certain moment, kind of like the comparison I would say it's weird is if you're watching Sopranos, people are always like, there's a certain point in the season where you kind of fall off.
Yeah.
And there's a certain point in this game where I felt like I had kind of tapped out of content and I was kind of just dilly dallying, waiting until the end.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, because story progression, I didn't realize until like 3 hours in that there were certain points where there was nothing to do, no dates to go on, and I
Yeah.
realized that you have to go dunge, dunge. You have to dunge to level up the weapons in order to progress their story, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a part where like things are kind of designed to naturally happen, but there is a certain point in kind of each character's arc where there's it requires something to happen, and the thing that needs to happen for anything in the story for the game as a whole to progress is you have to go into the dungeon, but you have to die, or you have to go unconscious. Like
Oh,
if you just
interesting.
go in, complete the dungeon, and come out, nothing happens. So there's no trigger.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a bug or something. because
Let me make a correction there. When you complete the dunge,
the Dunj. Yeah.
I cringe so hard, but it's one of those things where you can't stop looking at the car accident. You know, it's like I hate it,
For
but
me,
I
who
love it.
doesn't like for me who doesn't speak English natively, I was like, I guess this is a slang that people use in the States, like the dunge.
They're
But,
creating
okay,
the dunge. Yeah. Wait. So there might have been sticking points that were not intentional for you, Ben?
Well, I guess what happened is I was like, I got to a certain level and I was like, well, nothing's happening. I don't see any dates to go on. I don't see any
Oh.
new text messages. It's like, oh, I think what I have to do, I have to go in the dunge, just
Yeah.
wait for bad guys to kill me. Then something
Oh,
happens. And I would just keep doing
interesting.
that until I would get more text messages.
Wait. So that must mean like you were pretty good at dunge crawling.
Dungeon.
It was like in Final Fantasy VIII getting all the GFs. I was going for all the BFs.
Hey. I mean, yeah, that's interesting, right? Because it's kind of I think they call that emergent storytelling, right? Where they don't force feed you the story; they kind of rely on like events to happen and you discovering certain things,
Yeah.
right? Which is kind of neat. One thing I discovered, we're kind of going all over the place, but like just story wise specifically. One thing I discovered like by accident that I'm wondering if it was a secret character was that lady that had the crow, the albino crow, that the crow was the weapon and she was not, do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Yeah,
At the
because
mansion.
yeah, because like you see this main area and then you can go. There are roads that lead out of town, and if you go north enough, there's a road, and if you follow that road, it leads to like this mansion that is just out of sight. And that's how I met this like kind of creepy lady, and it ends up being one of my favorite weapons. Actually, really cool.
Cool.
Yeah, she's like she has an albino crow, and that crow turns into a scythe that gives you like dark powers. And so like, when you destroy enemies, it creates a void that sucks everyone in. And when you dodge, it like you disappear. Like it's cool. The game in terms of its like dungeon crawliness has enough to keep you interested without
Right.
being a bad dungeon crawler, I think, if that makes sense. Like I
Yeah,
don't
definitely.
yeah, it's I wouldn't say it's a fully fledged dungeon crawler, but it's not a bad dungeon crawler by any
No,
means.
but also I like from hearing your story, like I love that there's exploration that the exploration is also rewarded with a
Yeah.
new weapon because I did not go on a exploration in Verona Beach. I just went to the dungeon, to the mall, and to the date
Nice.
places. So
Yeah. Well, with that said, what were your character names? And did you try to go true to yourself or true to like you just go all in on an imaginary character?
I accidentally pressed enter, so I went with Kim, which was the generic
Default?
name,
Yeah, yeah.
the default name. Yeah.
Nice.
So
What were your pronouns?
I think I selected him, he or him.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Ben?
I went with I named my character after a cat I had a while ago named Bella, and
Oh,
went
that's
she
nice.
her.
She, her, nice. I went full androgynous, so I had an androgynous name, Troy, and they, them were the pronouns that I went with. And I'm
Right.
wondering if any of the decisions affected the storyline, but I did notice, which was really neat, was everyone addressed me as they, them in the game, which is kind of cool. Like it's just like interesting, the small little touches like that. Like this game could have very easily been guilty of like trying to be too woke, if that makes sense.
Sure, yeah.
But it felt very respectful to the non-binary
It didn't
people.
force that upon you. I think that
Yeah,
was really like
correct.
delicately made.
Yeah. And I'll admit, like Ben, I don't know if this has been in your experience, but like in the like film production, video production industry, we're relatively like progressive, and so I've been on sets where people outright introduce themselves with their pronoun and stuff like that, and I've gotten pretty good at like being forward and asking, you know, but it doesn't always happen, and so like this is me trying to make the effort to normalize it for myself because you know even if someone tells me I'll still like slip up and say she, her, or he, him when they meant they or whatever, you know. But
Actually, speaking of which, the scythe is they them.
oh damn it! See, there you go. That's right. Good
Busted.
call. Yeah, busted. Yeah, no, that's great. It's great to think about these things because like you know we're in this period of correction, and it's easy to go back to what's comfortable for us. But I think it's also important to be inclusive, you know, and yeah, we're in a place where like the world doesn't look like one color anymore. At least America doesn't look like it's one color anymore. It's like multicolor, and it makes us more beautiful for that, you know.
Sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I can only speak as a cis male, but having the they them and she her, or even if you want to be a guy, I thought that it was very well done and kind of inclusive, like you're saying. But it wasn't. It didn't put like a glaring spotlight focus on it, where it's like, listen,
Exactly. Yeah.
we know you're just trying to play a game, regardless of your sexuality. We don't have
Yeah,
to make it all about what you're going through. It's more of just you want to date these people
yeah,
or a cat. So let's just focus on that.
100%. And it was like, yeah, they were very good about not like it's the word proselytize, or like they're not like accosting you for like thinking a certain way. Like even the first date you go on is with it's, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, a male, and they don't, like you're just meeting them. They don't force you to be like, hey, this like you guys have to make out or anything like that. Like so every relationship that you choose to engage is with your personal consent. And so you have the option. There's like females, there's non-binaries that you encounter and stuff like that. And it always feels like it's your choice, and I never felt uncomfortable, you know.
Yeah. I mean, the game kind of makes that clear as well. Like when you meet your cousin for the first time, and he explains like you're gonna go on a date, or you can just have a chill summer and meet people if you want to do that as well. Which I really liked. Like it eases you into to the notion of dating other people's or people from your same gender as yourself.
I agree.
Yeah, it was a nice surprise to see that you could get the max relationship level also while being a friend versus
Right,
a
yeah.
romantic. And you can
Yeah.
keep it platonic.
So true. Let's switch channels for a little bit. I do want to go back to
Sure.
the story beats, but like, can we talk about which platforms you guys played on?
We can do that.
Yep.
I played it on PC.
I
Okay.
was on Switch.
Switch, nice. I started on PC and then I was going on a trip, so I downloaded it. I purchased it. I'm glad to support them, but PC it was basically free if you have Game Pass. But I
Yeah.
bought it was $20, which is like nothing on Switch. I think it's definitely worth $20. And I think it controlled very well, tight on analog sticks. I didn't think I was missing out on anything by being on keyboard, mouse, or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, and it ran super smooth too. There was no choppiness or
Cool.
anything
that's
like
so
that.
true. Yeah, sometimes on Switch it's really easy to like they double the load times, but I didn't experience any kind of like latency or long load times at all, which is nice.
Oh, that's nice to hear. I mean,
Yeah.
talking about controls, I played it on PC. I started out with mouse and keyboard, and then I switched to controller because like playing that game on mouse and keyboard was really hard. I think I don't know if you guys tried that.
I didn't.
Yeah, controller.
When you do mouse and keyboard, is the attack the left click or is it a key on the
No,
keypad?
it is the mouse. You have the left click, but you have to be facing the direction you want to attack, which is I don't know.
Right.
I just felt weird.
So it's
because
not like
it
a
is
twin stick shooter. Yeah, it's not like twin stick.
Exactly.
It's more directional. Got it.
Yeah.
Cool. So basically, no complaints other than your recommendation is go with controller if you can.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about the controls like when you're actually playing the dungeon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I think are okay, but kind of feel a little off at some points. I don't know. I think the dodge spotting is like when you're dodging, it felt a little bit delayed. I don't know if you guys experienced that.
I definitely
experienced
felt
as well.
that too.
Yeah.
I
It's like
agree with
just
that.
slightly.
Yeah, I don't know if it
Yeah.
was intentional, but like it feels markedly slow if you compare it to like Hades. Like I've only
Yeah.
gone in a few minutes on Hades, but Hades just felt so tight, and it feels kind of unfair to compare it to Hades because it was such like controlled so tightly. But like, how could you not, right? If that was like the dungeon crawler darling of the last year, right?
Yeah, and it is. I mean, it still markets itself as half a dungeon game, so I expect to have it like good dungeon crawling in as well. So
Yeah.
yeah,
With that said, though, like dungeon crawling wise, I thought it had enough to stay interesting, but yeah, it did feel like, at least in the beginning, I would say the first two dunge plunges that you do, I felt like it felt repetitive. It was just like XXX, Y, XXXX, Y, dodge, dodge, you know? But it wasn't
Yeah.
until you, like when I meet that, what was that lady's name who's a spray painter?
Valeria.
Valeria. I thought she was really fun to play because when you dodge, it confuses the enemies. So you had this
Exactly,
like you can kind of like kite the enemies around the room, dodge, turn around, slice, and that was, to me, that switched up the gameplay enough. That was cool.
Yeah, and that is actually a choice that you may, I think, make as well when you like selecting abilities. So you don't have to go with the stun. I think you can pick something else as well. But yeah, it really changes the game. I really enjoyed that weapon. I think she and Isaac, the first sword that you get, the Estoc, when you have the parry, I think when
Yep.
you like hold down the dodge button. I also like.
Did you use the parry at all?
I could
I
never
did,
get
yeah.
it to proc. I was so
never
shitty.
got it.
Yeah, I was like, screw it. But he's very charming,
Well,
so I want
guess
to
we're
keep
not
using.
playing this guy.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
Yeah, you
from a story perspective, like he was like the most like, oh my god, he's like James Bond, and then like you get to know him as like, oh, he's just got daddy issues.
Yeah, but I really liked him. Like his
Yeah.
voice. Man, I
So
was
dreamy.
swooning. I was like, I
Yeah,
really
Yeah,
liked
especially
it. We clicked.
when you first meet him and then you're comparing him to Sunder, you're just like, yeah, well, this guy's kind of a douche.
Exactly.
So I'm
Yeah,
gonna
of
go-
course.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
go with the cool dude.
Abs
Yeah.
McGee. You know, like come on. tone it
I
down,
mean, I
Sunder.
guess that Sander, like I didn't explore his story arc. Like I noped out of him, but I because like early on in the game you meet one of his friends who just like stay away from him.
Yeah,
Just
I
like
followed that advice too.
and yeah,
Yeah.
I did too. So, and
I went all bad boy with that guy.
Nice. Wait, so what kind of interesting unlocks can you do with Sunder? Like, what can you get from him? Like,
Well,
special move wise.
well, for his blade, he's all about like dots, like bleed damage to enemies, and
Oh, interesting. Okay,
I didn't actually play him too much. I just kind of played him enough to unlock
gotcha.
his storyline. But that's his thing. It's kind of area of effect DOTs.
yeah,
Oh, fun. That's cool. Did you guys have a overall favorite person to dunge with? Favorite weapon to dunge with?
Probably either the dagger, I think it's Valera, or Seven.
Nice. Oh
I
man. Yeah,
I
go ahead.
just got seven. I was like, holy shit, it's a lightsaber.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and the lightning damage too.
Oh
Yeah,
my god. Okay, so get this. I remember
but
playing,
yeah,
and sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm gonna go ahead and play the intro for the people on stream of what Seven looks like when you first meet him. And basically, like you go, oh my god, that's not a lightsaber. That's not it's a lightsaber. And then, and like dating wise, I got so thirsty. I was like, okay, play it cool. You got to play it cool. He's so aloof.
yeah. But he seems so boring to date.
Yes.
I went on that first coffee with him. It was so awkward.
He's very
But he was so
aloof.
full of you too.
Yeah, yeah. But like he's a
I guess
K-pop
he's a
star, right?
exactly, yeah. And
Um,
I guess he probably is a sweet guy. He's just very awkward
yeah.
around people.
I think he was just too aloof, you know. For me, it
Yeah,
was such a turnoff that he
yeah.
just didn't care that much, you know.
But I really enjoyed playing with Isaac and Valeria. I think they had the most fun playstyles, and I actually enjoyed dating them as well. I think both their character types are right up my alley.
Nice.
Yeah, I think Valera had a very good sort of. Her story was really nicely done.
Yeah,
She was
yeah, I think so
complex.
too. Yeah,
I appreciated that, right? Like you just the
yeah.
more you know about her, the more like interesting it is and colorful it is.
Mm,
Like she dated a brother and sister at one point. The brother was still kind of creeping around, and I'm at the
yeah.
point where with her storyline where you go graffitiing with her, and then
Hmm.
you the kind of like at this point it seems like a stalker X like helped you out of that situation, you know. And I don't know where it goes after that, but like, yeah, I still enjoy playing with her because of her cool dodging confusion abilities. But
Yeah.
I think it's between her. God, there's some good ones, but okay. So the more recent ones, I
Pocket
would
Dust
say,
are really
Can I
good.
ask? Can I ask? Like,
I
for
haven't. I want to
for
play
you guys
Secret.
that have finished it, how many weapons are there? How many characters are there that you can actually date?
Ooh, I think less than you think, but enough to be satisfying. I want to
Okay.
say maybe up close to 10. What do you think, Ben?
Oh,
I think that's right. And from what I was reading, that there's two other weapons that are supposed to be coming in DLC, and
huh.
you actually meet one of them, and he's like, "Hey, nice to meet you. So I'm actually gonna leave," and then he
Oh,
just jets.
that's the I don't know why I think he's a hammer, but
I
uh,
think he is a
that,
hammer.
that is the big
Oh,
guy from
like
the
a war, like
barbecue.
a war hammer, like a big war
But that
battle hammer
Well,
type
I
deal.
don't think you actually see him
yeah,
transform,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I think he mentions he's a
But
hammer.
he's the guy that you meet at Jesse's barbecue, right?
Yeah, although like when he left, I was like, yeah. He goes, "Hey, I'm kind of a bum. I don't really have a job, and I'm kind of like not
I was so
doing much with my
excited.
life."
Oh
I was so
yeah,
excited. Yeah, I
yeah.
was so excited to
He
date him,
goes
and
surfing.
it's just like went out.
He was such a
Just went
schlub.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
see,
liked him.
when
He
I met
seemed
him
like a
and he was
very
like high
sweet
and by, I
guy.
was like,
Yeah.
Oh, he seemed like a sweet guy.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
Ben. Question. I legit got freaked out because I was playing this on the plane and it was like dark. But there's a moment where you meet a character in front of your house and it looks like a Japanese like ghost or monster. And it's like the dialogue says it lunges at you and attacks and you like dodge and then like you go inside and you at this point I haven't seen it again. But do you know what I'm talking about?
"I do, yeah, I remember that."
Spoiler is fine. Who is that or do we not
What
encounter that again?
Well, the spoiler is that's the weapon of Eric, the stalker.
Ah, okay.
Wait, a weapon
Man.
could be. Oh wait, no. So that Japanese ghost can turn into a weapon, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's
Oh
right.
shit. Okay.
Ah.
Dude, it is a freaky
And
moment. It is like a good, scary looking monster thing, ghost
yeah,
thing.
especially since you haven't really encountered anything like that in the game yet.
Yeah, everyone's super normal, and that is just this like supernatural looking, like, yeah, it was
Huh.
freaky. It's like the Japanese
Okay, I
ghost
need,
art style is cool. Yeah.
cool.
There's some neat like twists and turns in this game to keep it interesting, I gotta say. Like it's been a really pleasurable experience.
Did you guys get Eric as a stalker as well? Did you like ever engage with him? Or he's
I
like,
purposely tried to not engage with him because he
uh,
was so obnoxious, and I was
yeah,
like, dude,
Same.
like this was nothing even close to a date. Like, just back off.
Yeah.
yeah,
But at a certain point, uh, nothing happens unless you do engage with them.
okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
because I avoided him as well, and just like tried to be polite, but tried to also not engage with him. But
Yeah.
yeah, I like and I was wondering if like my choices turns him into a stalker, or if he's actually like he has a different type of like character if you actually um, go on to date him.
Oh, that's so interesting that you phrased it like that, right? Because, okay, I want to engage this lightly. So basically, I tried to play this as objectively as possible and like kind of role play with my non-binary person, my
Sure.
non-binary character. But at certain points in the game, I couldn't help but make personal choices. Right, like because Eric was kind of creepy, like I just told him to back off, and yeah, like just like you said, Ben, like it was just like leave me alone. You know, like he was just being super weird about it, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then I forgot where I was going with this, but essentially, like, wait, what were you saying just now? What was your comment about it, Ilker?
I mean I was wondering like if I had chosen to actually engage with him
Oh,
and be
right,
nice to him,
right,
if he would change, like if he would just stop stalking you, or like if I
right.
don't know, like because he is coming on very strongly,
Yeah.
which is
So
a huge turn off.
with the way you said it, though, it like is kind of like, was it intentional? Because maybe I'm
Yeah,
like pushing it too far, but like, where are you victim blaming yourself right now, right? But like, because that's kind of what happens, right? Like, oh, it's my fault that he started stalking me,
sure, yeah.
or not, right? Like, I
Well,
don't know if
based
that
on
was an
kind of like
intention.
what I know about just what I've been reading reviews and stuff, from what I can tell, I think he becomes a stalker no matter what. But I
Oh,
would
interesting.
imagine if this was maybe a bigger or longer game, that perhaps like, or maybe it'd be more interesting if they had a weapon that, if you made the wrong choices, could become a
Yeah.
stalker. But I
Oh,
think they
interesting.
wanted to kind of simplify it and just make it like, here's the bad guy, and
Right.
you can progress with
Yeah.
it just linearly.
Mm.
Right. Gotcha. So, did you guys struggle with like, because I can be like a gutter mind, and I'm always like looking for innuendos, and I'm like, is wielding like sexual, or is it wielding just like dating? Like they use very liberally the word wielding, like when you dunge with a weapon, you're wielding them, and you're a wielder. Is that like being a top or a bottom versus a bottom, that kind of a thing?
I'll let you answer that, Ben.
You know, I guess if you wanted to, but I didn't have that takeaway. Although, speaking of in the gutter pocket, I was like, oh my god, like really?
Well, tell us more about Pocket, because I've only just met Pocket. I found like, because Pocket is the cat, right? And it's
Yeah, well, pocket's a cat.
the little like claws with the spike, the Wolverine glove, basically.
Wait, so animals can also turn into to weapons?
Mhm.
That is okay.
Spoiler, light spoiler, but yeah, I've
I'm just
encountered
trying to
two.
understand this universe, because everything seems normal, like monsters coming up in malls and people turning to swords. Like, I'm kind of curious about the lore of the game, like what is the background?
Yeah, I think they don't.
I don't think they go too deep.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that helps, right? Like just
Sure.
get into this absurd world and just have fun with it. That's the intention that I got
Yeah,
from
we
it.
don't need to know the science or the mysticism behind why some people are weapons and why some people aren't.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, some people are just wielders, and some people just don't transform at all. I'm looking right now on the screen because I just put a compilation of the transformations that the characters do of everyone that you meet. And Ben, I'd like your take on this because all of them seem pretty cool and relatively normal and adult, but I think it's a glaive, that like kind of spear thing that you meet, seemed like it was a kid. And I felt very uncomfortable that like this glaive seemed like they were underage, but they were one of my favorite weapons. Like the way that you deal damage, it's like distance, and you can throw it. You can throw the glaive, which was really neat.
Yeah, when you first meet that character, they kind of look like I think it's Child Emperor from like One Punch Man, like a 8-year-old genius. But I
Yeah.
think they're supposed to be of age, and they're in
Yeah.
college. So
Well,
there's
because
that.
compare them to everyone else, right? Like Isaac, Sunder, everyone like looks like an adult. But yeah, that's the only one. I don't remember their name, but that's the only person where I was like, oh, uncomfortable, young.
Yeah, it also doesn't help that they're like, oh, do you have like $2 to pay for coffee? And I don't know
Yeah,
how to cook
yeah,
grilled cheese. So
yeah,
you
exactly.
are you actually 8 years old?
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
lie about your age.
That was so weird to me and very, very uncomfortable. It's good to know though that I'm not like creeping because this weapon is so cool, you know. Visual style
I
wise,
guess it's
yeah.
a character trope, like but
Yeah, I guess representation, diversity, right? Like
yeah.
people, they're people that were across the spectrum, you know.
And I think for that character, it's more of like the schleppy college student that's an idiot than supposed to be
Yeah.
like young idiot. I think.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I
But
think they
they
could have
actually
been
end up
more
being one of my
forward.
favorites.
Oh, really? Weapon wise or character story wise?
Weapon and character. Even though at first I was like, I don't know, you seem kind of like a bum. I don't want to get to know you, but
Yeah,
uh, they end up kind of pulling through in the end, and they kind of like get their act together. And I just thought, also like the fact that it's a glaive. So it's like,
yeah. Glaives are
I think
damn
I'm
cool.
biased because I'm like, oh, I really do like the glaive.
Yeah. I'm also like stoked that like not only was there a representation across like gender and humans in general, but there was representation in weapons. So what didn't get boring like, oh, this is a shorter sword, this is a longer sword, but they were like, yeah, there's pocket, there's the glaive, there's the scythe, which was like super fun to play with, you know.
Yeah, I
That was
actually
really neat.
learned that S-stock was the name of a blade.
Yeah.
I think that the first time like you actually go on a date and Isaac asks you what your favorite blade is or what type of blade you want to be start fencing with, and I have to Google all of them. I'm like, I don't know what my favorite is. I have to look at them to see what they look like. I'm like, I think I'm gonna go with the S-stock.
I do what I normally do and just pretend like I know and just go, yeah, that one. Let's move to graphics and visual style or representation. What did you
Yeah.
guys think overall on that stuff?
I mean, just looking at the videos that are like currently rolling on the stream with the transformations are absolutely amazing. I think that is one of the strongest parts of the graphics of this game.
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't know, just screaming every time I saw a new. Is that a word? Every time I saw a new animation, I was like just screaming and applauding by myself. I was so
Yeah.
excited to see these people transform.
Very epic, right? Like between the music and
Yeah.
like the anime style, like almost like Sailor Moon-esque. You can't say that was not inspired by Sailor Moon, right? Like the spinning
Definitely,
and
yeah.
all that kind of stuff. But
Definitely.
they really, if you just watch them, they give you a essence of who that character is in that intro,
Yeah,
which is
it
really
does,
neat.
yeah.
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 What'd you think, Ben?
Yeah, I was really impressed. I liked them all. It kind of felt all the intros kind of felt very Overwatchy in a good way.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
much so. Yeah, I think watching it, because I've played some indie games where they do this anime style cutaway, and because their budget's a bit lower and they can't afford the best artists, they tend to be very low frame rate. But this is like anime quality, I want to say. It's like pretty up there, and they still had their own unique style, which definitely seemed anime inspired, but it wasn't like, you know, if you hate anime, you're not going to hate this, right? Like there's certain people that are not are put off by that style. Like it has its own identity, which is kind of nice, right?
Definitely,
Yeah,
yeah.
it felt like a Western take on it's kind of the
Yeah.
anime look.
Yeah,
Yeah.
almost like Avatar or Airbender, you know, that series, like
And
their own
I also
take.
thought that the sort of the more higher detailed, intro videos and then character portraits, I thought that blended well with kind of the more simplistic, actually like character models and isometric world that you're in. I didn't feel like there was too much of a contrast there. What'd you guys
Yeah.
think?
Yeah, I think it all kind of blended really well together, right?
I think so too. Yeah, I think maybe maybe the character that you're playing, your own character, maybe is like if you compare that to how everyone else is looking, and you're just like a blob with two eyes, basically.
You know what I took that to as? I took that as you ever played? Oh, you've played Dragon Ball Fighter Z or Dragon Ball Fighters.
Yeah.
There is the fighting mode where you see the characters, and then the map mode where you're the chibi version of yourself. I just took that as like you're fighting as a
Yeah.
chibi version of yourself in the dungeon,
Sure.
you know. And
Yeah.
for me, that kind of worked, like overworld versus map
Yeah,
world.
I mean, I guess that is also like a decision they made. Like, you want to use the same character model for whatever thing whatever noun you choose.
Yeah,
So I think that is definitely like a choice they made. But yeah, well, I mean, overall, I think everything blends really well together. As you said, I think maybe the overview map like feels a little like I think the entire world feels a little uninspiring.
that's fair.
Being it like modern day, I guess Los Angeles, I is what I take from that. Like feels like a fancy version of Los Angeles. I was thinking, what if this game had been like made its own world, maybe like sci-fi or fantasy or something else. Could that have been more interesting in design of the world? I guess
That's a
because running
fair.
around in the malls.
Yeah.
Was I don't know. Didn't really like the dungeons in themselves didn't feel that.
Yeah, I think it's a very
Exciting.
fair criticism. I think in terms of the world map, yeah, the map streets were grid. I think they could have had fun with like a river going through it or something like that. But it was really just like a 15 by 15 grid, and you couldn't really explore all the buildings or anything like that. You know. That's
Yeah,
fair.
I kind of like the beach town feel just to tie it into like the whole summer vacation element to the story.
Mhm.
It kind of gave me vibes from Steven Universe, that town, that little beach town there.
Nice.
But it's like you said, like once you kind of go to the dungeon or the dunge, and then your apartment and kind of wander around, it's like, oh, there's some places you can go for key moments in the story, but other than that, it's like there's three spots: the two dungeons, and then your apartment.
home.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of like it's a big, like you can see like grid wise, like there's kind of a big area to go and do things, but interaction wise, they're quite limited.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So there are two dungeons, right? There's the mall, and then there's the
it's
what's
just
the other
two.
one? I just unlocked the second one. I'm maybe like 6 floors deep on the second one.
Oh, it's the lounge under the club.
There you go. Yeah, yeah. You go into the club. Which, like, what club has that many floors? Come on. So it's intimidating. I don't want to go to that kind of club.
This is like VIP plus one, VIP.
Yeah. VIP. So many. Gameplay, like combat wise, I think there was a very clear progression where like you fight ads, then you fight like slightly stronger enemies, and I feel like at least in the first dungeon there was kind of like your first mini boss encounter, and then towards the end there was a legit boss fight, and I thought that was really fun and satisfying. What do you guys think about the kind of progression of gameplay?
Yeah, I like that as well. I think again, I played maybe 4 hours of it. I am starting to get a little bit like tired of what do you call it? The process, the wheel, the game. What's the right word for it?
The
What's the
loop, the loop, the gameplay
Thank
loop.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yep.
exactly. Like, because like you do the dungeons and you're just leveling up your weapon until you can actually go on a date with them, and then you repeat that basically. And yeah, I think the boss and the challenges add some um, variation to it, but I don't know. It could have been maybe something more to do in the dungeons other than just.
Floor by
I mean,
floor. Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I mean, you have these mini dates as well when you find them, like the arcade and the fountains and stuff like that. When you find like special spots.
Yeah.
Um,
For me, those got repetitive, right? Because like I went down and went to the same fountain or the massage chairs in the mall with Isaac
yeah.
a couple times, and like basically he like gives you a hand job, like, and like there's no other way that you can do that scenario. Like there's no different encounter with that. I wish there would have been
Yeah,
like,
I
oh,
think
we're here again or
Same
something like that.
dialogue
Yeah,
every
yeah,
time.
yeah,
that was also a little bit disappointing because yeah, but then you're just skipping through the dialogue because when you get that again, because you're just doing the same thing all every time you get them,
yeah,
and I got the same arcade like 4 times in a row.
yeah, yeah.
So
Do you know if they're randomly generated, the maps?
I think they're procedurally generated, but there's only so many floors per
Gotcha.
dungeon, so there's like a hard cap.
Right, right. And I think the dungeons cap at like 12 floors, something like that. At least the first one. But I did get like once you find your nice weapon, once you like know how to work it, like that loop can be very satisfying. Like I remember I went on a loop where I went from the first floor all the way to like the ninth. Like I felt unstoppable and it felt so good. And at that point, it didn't feel repetitive. And then you
yeah.
lose, you're like, like that's kind of, there's a bit of a addictive nature in that regard, you know?
But did you change weapons as well, like in between floors?
Yeah, only if I maxed out the weapon because like there's, you gotta,
Yeah, I do the same.
exactly. Like just kind of economy of like getting to the next story progression of
Right.
just like maxing
Yeah.
out the next weapon and getting those text messages and stuff, you know?
Yeah, I'm not sure how big of a studio Kitfox Games is, but because I know that they did a Kickstarter, you definitely get the feeling that's like, okay, like
Yeah.
if this was like a full-fledged studio or a bigger studio,
Yeah.
you'd be more disappointed with sort of the, how short it is or how limited sort of the options are with the dungeon. But
Yeah.
because you kind of know it is a Kickstarter, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
well, you
Yeah.
get a little bit of a pass. At least in my book.
Kickstarter plus it's
Yeah.
it's a $20 game. There's a lot of game in there for $20, and it's free on Game
Yeah.
Pass so it's like $6 if anything. I think it delivers, right, in terms of like the value you get for the money. It's great.
Yeah.
But although I do kind of wish, because it is procedurally generated, I wish that maybe there was like a third dungeon that was just like a bottomless pit that just got like harder
Oh,
as
like
you went,
yeah,
just to kind of reinforce
Yeah.
that loop.
endless mode.
That'd be
yeah.
kind of cool, but
Yeah.
I get why they don't.
Right. And story wise, you can always go like, because for those who haven't played the game, each dungeon has enemies that are representative of your fears, I want to say, right? Or
Yeah.
your things that you're anxious of. So like phone calls and I don't remember what the other ones are, but I think the more obvious one that was kind of neat was the club dungeon. The enemies were like drinks, like maybe overdoing it is your fear. Hands, like hands coming at you, like people getting handsy on you at the club and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
harsh lights, which is clever. It'd be interesting to see what other kind of DLC dungeons they come up with in enemy wise,
Yeah. I guess it's a much more advanced thing to do, but it would have been awesome to see like your choices being reflected in the enemies that you face. Like I don't know, like having the conversations. Like if something happens in the conversations, you will actually be fighting a
Interesting.
certain enemy type.
Yeah, kind of like Until Dawn or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or if you start getting more creeped out by Eric, more shit that represents Eric is in the dungeon, right?
Right,
Oh
yeah,
man, I want to play that game, Ilker.
I mean, maybe next game they do like if I hopeful this game gets enough traction and they make a lot of money so they can actually make a Boyfriend Dungeon 2 and add some more cool stuff.
So, Yoker and Brian, when you were playing, did you find yourself using a lot of the sort of the combos on the the special screen, or were you kind of just like hacking away just with the same
I
routine?
had my cookie cutter combo with Isaac, which is heavy, and which I think I can't remember what the heavy like the combo does. But I used some combos. With Valeria, I would just like do light attack and then dodge and then do light heavy attack just because you get the stun on the enemies. I think you actually unlock an ability that also does more damage to stun enemies. So try to use that a lot. But yeah, I couldn't remember all the combos, but I had a few that I was like going to all the time.
Oh, I had no idea. Wait, is there a move list like in like God of War or something like that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a
there's
menu for the move
yeah.
list.
Idiot! Like, I thought it was just like X X X X X X, you know? Because well, there's some
Well, that was
characters.
me though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the lightsaber is that, right? Like you go X X X, and then like you do the chain lightning, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
that's super awesome. So I just kept spamming that. The
Yeah, I
seven.
was the same thing. Just like light, hard.
Yeah, I mean that's like kind of typical of like hack and slash games, right?
Mm.
But I mean that's not to say that's the testament to the game because it's still fun even if you're just spamming the same attack over and over again, right?
Yeah. Did you guys like experiment with the zines?
Yeah, yeah. Do you guys
Yeah.
have a favorite? My favorite was the trip mine or whatever, where you like toss
I
it and they go
just
AOE. Yeah.
yeah, I just
Oh,
unlocked that
that's
and started
actually the
using
one I
after.
didn't use.
Oh, nice. Which ones did you use?
Oh no, I'm saying I never actually got the chance to use the mine, but it sounds pretty cool.
Did you
Which one did
use
you
any
use?
of the other zines?
I think I used the ghost one. That was
Oh.
I think I
Wait,
used that the most often.
what's the ghost one? The copy? You make a
It
copy of
spams like
yourself?
makes like a AOE, and then anybody that's in that kind of runs away just for a moment.
Huh.
Oh,
Cool.
that sounds fun. Because I know there's some that you have to craft, right? Like you don't just
Mm.
get them. And so I have like a stack of zines that I have not crafted yet, I feel like. But I don't think I got that one. I got the sleepy one. I got the whichever one makes a decoy of you, and then the AOE one,
Yeah.
the mine.
Is there a
Did you
way to
have
upgrade?
specific zines that you liked for specific weapons, or were you kind of sticking to
Uh,
the same one, or just switching it up randomly?
I just stuck to the same one because usually when I use a zine, it's because I'm like overwhelmed. And so like I just throw the zine and then run into it so then they get bombed when they follow me and stuff like that.
Is there a way to upgrade them? The zines, do they do more damage or like do they change
I don't think so.
the way they work?
Not that
No?
I've seen.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah. For the game in general as a whole, were there any what I guess my question is what were the most uncomfortable moments for you? Whether it was like socially uncomfortable, cringy uncomfortable, or whatever they were trying to address or say with the game.
I mean, I felt pretty uncomfortable by the character Eric.
Mm.
I guess that is meant to be uncomfortable. And yeah, they really succeeded with that. But I don't know. I no, I wasn't really that uncomfortable. I think I played it with an open mind.
Yeah.
And yeah. What about you, Ben?
I would say the same. Eric was probably the most. Although it seemed my impression was that it seemed to me that all of the human characters were pretty awful in this game. That includes your cousin, and then there's a girl that you meet at the coffee shop, or she works at the coffee
Oh
shop,
yeah.
and she
Oh, yeah,
is kind of
she's stalkery
she's
too,
not
right?
terrible, but she is a little stalkerish too of Seven.
Yeah.
Of the lightsaber, don't stalk the lightsaber. No, the lightsaber's bandmate, she's stalkery of, right?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, yeah. I'll be honest, I was very uncomfortable in the beginning because as a heterosexual cis male that is making the effort to try to be as inclusive as possible, I was afraid that I'd be like, "What is this shit?" Like, come on, guys. You know, that's what I was afraid of. But
Yeah.
um, I was so pleasantly surprised with how like for someone who is like quote unquote like doing the work, how much I didn't feel like an asshole for not knowing or not immediately responding to someone's like gender identity or anything like that. Like I think if you are a person that is open minded and is still pretty new, it is a game that works for you too. For example, like even I wouldn't call myself old school, but I'm still warming up to the idea of having a partner rather than a girlfriend, if that makes sense, right? Like, you know, partner is the new way to call it, and for all intents and purposes, it's great. It's deeper than calling someone a girlfriend, right? It's more inclusive and it's just more respectful to your partner, in my opinion. And I'm just now, you know, at the end of the day, I'm comfortable with what my partner wants to call the situation. But as someone who is in that kind of like transitional area, but very open-minded, like I felt very welcomed by this game. And I didn't feel put off by it at all, you know? But yeah, so that for me, aside from Eric being like uncomfortably stalkery, and I think it was really cool that they give you a disclaimer in the beginning because they didn't have to, right? But they tell you like, look, we're going to deal with some heavy shit. This is an anime, fun, cartoony game, but we're dealing with some real stuff that people go through. And I thought that was really neat.
Yeah, I actually like that. That is a disclaimer that you usually don't get. Like again, I haven't played that many visual novels or dating sims, but I have never gotten a disclaimer like that before. It's for sure for Doki Doki. There's a different disclaimer.
That one scared the shit out of me. Have you played Doki Doki, Ben?
I haven't, but I've read reviews and watched some Let's Plays.
Oh my God. I'll send you a link to a discussion that me and Ilker had and like a playthrough that I did and stuff like that. Cause I did not realize how much it would fuck with me, but it did. And they have a very aggressive disclaimer in the beginning. It's crazy.
Yeah, and but again, like that is a disclaimer that you usually don't get in those type of games. So I appreciated that, and I thought it was a cool way to introduce you to the game. But then again, like with the open-mindedness, like because you have your cousin Jesse who's walking you through the game, and I think they designed that character so well in the terms that he's actually taking care of you. Like he's holding your hand through this, and you don't have to be afraid of going on a date with a same gender if you're like heterosexual and going on a same gender date with someone. Like you do it on your own terms, and I think that is one thing that the game teaches you, which I really appreciate it.
Yeah, everything is thrown so casually at you, right? Like it's everything's so matter of fact. You're like, yeah, of course, right? Like, oh, that was a girl I dated once, and even though they mentioned that they dated a guy another breath, right? Like nothing's so like, huh? See, I do this too, you know? Like everything's just so matter of fact that it's really nice, you know?
Yeah.
Yep. It was also kind of nice to see that each different weapon had sort of different ways that they approached the relationship with you. So like some of them, like Sunder, like really pushy up front.
Yeah.
And some like Isaac are just like super cool and mellow, and you're like, all right. And same thing with Seven, where it's like a couple of characters like Seven or the Scythe you meet, they're very kind of abrasive at first, and then you kind of pull back a couple layers.
Oh, that's so true. Yeah.
One of the things that I really enjoyed about it was with Sunder, even though he is very aggressive at first, there's moments in the story where kind of certain things happen and you have an opportunity to say like, hey, like let's have some boundaries or like slow down. And every time that happens, he respects that. And also there's a moment too where he himself is like, if I stay here, I'm gonna do something bad, so I'm gonna leave. So it was kind of nice to see that, you know, on the other side of that, you have Eric who just keeps doing the wrong things.
Right.
And then you have a character who is actually like similar, but makes all the right choices.
Wow.
Yeah, because I really like that. I really like that with Sunder, because like in the beginning, he comes on very strongly, and you get the chance to tell him to back off, and he respects that. And I think that was so awesome, because then you have some time to ease into it yourself, and like, okay, I think I'm ready to actually go on a second date with this guy and see what he's about. Yeah, I
Wow.
think that was really well made, I think.
Wow, I feel like an
Ilker, how far
asshole.
did you get with Thunder?
Sorry?
Ilker, how far did you get when your weapon status was Thunder?
I think I just hit level 3 with him, so not that far.
You guys are gonna laugh because I've maxed out every chance I got. Everyone else, like everyone's at like level 6, level 7, and Sunder is at 1 still. He put me off so much in the beginning, but like now I feel like an asshole for not giving him a chance, right?
Every time he would like do something cool, and then you're like, all right, I'm coming around, and then he'd flash his abs. I'm like, oh, dude,
yeah,
one.
yeah.
What is his cue when he starts blushing? He also kind of looks like what's the actor that played Hercules in the
Oh,
series
Kevin Sorbo.
Was it
Oh
Kevin
yeah.
Sorbo?
Yeah, Kevin Sorbo with long hair, and he had like the leather wristlets and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Kevin
He looks a
Sorbo.
lot like it.
Oh man.
Well,
So
here's a fun fact: is that he's actually he's voiced by ProZD.
wait, is that a streamer? That's a streamer, right?
He's on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
He's
Hang
Someone
on, I
Joe.
gotta look
He's
at. I've heard the
he's a
name.
streamer, but he also he's like a professional voice actor. He's
Oh,
really
that
good.
guy. Yeah, the really deep guy. He does like board game reviews too. That's crazy.
Hmm.
No way. He's got like a really deep, silky voice too. It's great.
I mean, there's a lot of great voices in this game. I think it's very well voiced if we want to talk about some sound design and.
Yeah.
Oh, and the music was awesome too.
Oh yeah!
Oh my
that is,
God.
like, the
Let's
first
talk
thing
about
I
the
want-
sound
yeah.
and music.
Let's do that because
Woo!
that is the first thing on my list here. Like the soundtrack, like it really hits you right away. I think
Yep.
it's awesome just starting up the game and getting that main theme.
I would call that lo-fi beats to Dunj 2. It's so like I lingered on the menu quite a bit because I was like, man, this is a legit, really cool, chill song. Side note, shout out to Wakai Simbo. Welcome back.
Wow.
He sat with me through, I believe it was Little Nightmares, as well as some of The Witness, maybe a little bit.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Wakaisima.
Yeah. So Ben, talk about your opinion about not only just the music in general, but sound design.
I thought sound design was very well done.
Mhm.
You definitely felt the feel or the weight of each weapon and kind of each hit on an enemy. So I thought it was just very clean and very tight.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was definitely well done from an indie perspective, but had they had the maturity of like a larger studio, more support, like I think they could have filled up a little bit more in the dungeons, like having a little bit more ambiance, maybe more little pitter patter of like things moving around and that kind of stuff. But overall, they didn't make a bad sound design choice, in my opinion.
Exactly.
All the sound effects felt great and were super unique. I didn't sense any like repetitive sounds. But again, music, awesome. And it was just kind of like a
These are definitely the
cartoon.
best.
Yeah, like there were on the overworld map was kind of like a instrumental remix of the main theme song, which is kind of cool. Like, yeah, I thought it was great.
Yeah.
And I would love to hear like if they put out a whole album of that kind of stuff. It was just, I think it was really well fitting too, right?
I mean, for me, it's like this regarding the sound. I think the soundtrack and the voice acting is like the two strongest parts of that game because I think all of this the voice actors are really good and like like this game being an indie game as well. Like they really nailed that.
Voice acting, yeah, that's another part of it. That's great. Ben, you were saying?
Yeah, like if you were gonna cut corners or kind of like reshift sort of like where they put time and money and stuff, it's like they hit it right with like voice and music, like you're saying. Whereas like if maybe those were lesser, but let's say the graphics were better or more in depth, I'd be like, I wouldn't enjoy it as much as I did how it is currently.
Yeah, because like voice acting in this type of games isn't even necessary. Like like a lot of visual novels and dating sims don't have voice acting. They
true.
like sometimes they don't like they have a oh and like they have just
the
like
grunt,
this, but like a lot of times they don't have anything. So I think it's a really cool addition and like bonus that they actually put voice acting in this
So
game. Like,
true.
it's not all dialogue is voiced, but
Way
enough
more
of
than
it
you
is there.
expect, for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. But it's
Yeah,
enough
I
there
don't think
to.
you'd be as attached if it was like you're saying, just that like sound
Yeah,
effect, or like even that like texting sound
yeah,
that games have.
yeah,
Yeah, so true.
exactly.
Like me and Ilker go back and forth on this a lot because like Ilker will go out of his way to listen to game soundtracks because they're like as good
I love
as,
games and
yeah,
tracks.
like as you know, the Rolling
I
Stones or
want to do a
whatever,
whole
right?
stream where I just play game music for you guys
Please, that'd
and
be
talk
super
over
fun. So for
That
for
sounds
example,
awesome, actually.
that is like Ilker's take, and for me, I'm like, there's some game music that I like, but I've never had a game soundtrack where I'm like, oh yeah, I totally listen to that in the car. It's like a banger, you know. But this game changed my mind. Like I would totally listen to that like theme song as in a playlist, and it would sit really well with the rest of my music that I listen to. You know, it's cool.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it was cool in that I don't think in that main theme they're not obnoxious with it and go boyfriend dungeon or or anything like that. It was just a cool, tasteful song, right?
Yeah.
Well, here's a question for you guys: is when you're in the dungeon, there's like if you put on a certain headgear, it
Mm.
changes the music. But both
Oh.
songs, whether it's the normal one or the alternative, there's
Uh,
lyrics to it. But I had a hard time making it out. But did either of you hear
Oh,
what they were saying?
I knew that changing headgear did change the amount of energy drinks and zines that you could carry.
I
Uh,
had no idea.
but I didn't know that it changed the music. I just knew that it changed your like loadout ability to loadout a little bit.
Yeah, there's a specific one that it's like just changes the music.
Ah,
But
okay.
Dude.
I think there are words in both songs, but I couldn't quite make it out. Did either of you hear any of that?
Well, okay,
No,
so I'll admit, when I was flying back, I was playing this with a podcast on and the game on mute, which is like kind of shitty because now I know that I missed out on some like music. But that's so cool because I have a night helmet. I have like there's a sun hat that I got, like a demonic hat. There's like cultist robes and like all these fun
huh?
costumes and stuff like that. But I didn't know that could possibly
I'm
change
just
the
running
music.
around in my beret.
Oh, you got the beret? Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
What was your favorite outfit or costume?
Ooh, um, I got like leather. I crafted a leather costume.
The leather suit.
Yeah, and then the night helmet is what I've been dungeon with.
I just put that on. I've been using the bomber jacket and a helmet.
They don't have any meaningful changes to your gameplay, do they? The costumes you wear?
Only the hats
I had
actually
no
changed.
idea. That's crazy. Yeah, because I got like
The rest of the outfits just change the way you look.
okay, yeah, I
And
got to dive
let's be
back in.
honest, they don't look super great. I was watching Dodger, the streamer, play this, and she made a comment that like all these outfits are something that my mom would wear, which is super fun.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, yeah, because it was kind of just like clothes and hat. You couldn't get too
Yeah,
granular with your outfit, right? Like you
yeah.
couldn't mix and match or anything like that. Let's skip ahead a little bit. Who do you guys think this game is for?
Ooh,
Yeah. I mean, if you haven't played, I think it's a great game for anyone beginning a dating sim journey, but it's also a great game for someone who's experienced in it. I mean, I would say it's for anyone who is dating sim curious or actually a dating sim veteran, um, in my opinion. But
Well, so do you think a person that is into dating sims that plays this would like, because it's kind of beginner friendly, right? Like you die and that's part of the gameplay loop and you
yeah.
get stronger every time you do it. But is the dating sim part, for in your perspective, satisfying enough and have enough depth that it would keep
I
someone engaged?
I think so. I mean, it has all the basic elements that a dating sim has. I mean, again, I think the first dating sim that I played was on like Super Nintendo emulator when I was a teenager. I think it's called Pokimeki Memorial. And I mean, I don't think there's like the gameplay has changed anything since the 90s. Like it
Yeah,
is still a visual novel. You just like
right.
have character portraits and dialogue, and then you choose like what do you want to talk about, and you like your answers and questions basically.
Gotcha.
Um, so yeah, I mean, it does what a dating sim does, and I think I wanted to talk about this in the rating, but I mean, I think you have to ask yourself the question, well, what makes a good dating sim? And I think for this game, like for any game, I think it's the characters. Like you want likable characters to go
Yep.
out on dates with, and I think
With
this game
depth,
does that
right?
really really well. Yeah.
Yeah. Ben, who do you think this game is for?
I think I'd agree that I think, at least for me, someone who doesn't really play dating games other than like RPGs with romantic elements to it,
Yeah.
um, I think it's entry level for that, but also anybody who's looking to play a game that's kind of easy to jump into and just start playing and have a good time, but also it's not just surface level. Like there's more to the story, there's more to the character, so you get some meat, but also you're not gonna sit there for 60 hours grinding.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so
So I think it's
true.
great for anybody who's just looking for something light, fast, and fun to get into, but also, is looking for some story.
Yeah, I think for me, it's like if someone played Hades and loved it, and they were looking for to scratch that same itch, I'd be like, this is not that, because it is a very serviceable dungeon crawler. But for me, I would recommend this game to, or this is kind of two in one, but like I think this game is for people that like indie games in its purest form, which is like an experiment, right? Sometimes the best indie games tell one thing really well, or they try to mash two elements and it ends up being great. And I think it's just that. I think they experimented with two genres that you would not imagine mishmashing together, but they created something really compelling. And so
Yeah.
for anyone like Ben, if I didn't know that you were into indie games and I found out recently and you were not an indie game social club, I'd be like, dude, you got to play this game. It's so weird and different and it's so cool. Like someone like you is who I would recommend this game to, which is like someone that wants a unique, interesting experience that isn't just like nothing wrong with first person shooters, but we all know how those work, and so there's nothing new that can be brought to those genres typically these days, but this is a very unique, very cool experience that was brought forth by two traditional, very like kind of for one type of person kind of game, and they opened up completely.
Yeah, I think it definitely stands out among the crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
absolutely.
Victor, your question is, how did you guys hear about this game, and sort of what made you pick this game over, let's say, like any other indie game out there?
Oh, how did it come about, Ilker? It was in a chat,
I
I believe.
yeah, it was in the messenger chat that we had, and I don't remember. Was it you that linked it, or was it
I
Simon?
I put a
Someone
link
linked the game,
down
and
because I have
yeah,
like YouTube people that I follow that are like aggregators. Are like, here's the indie games that are out this week, and I saw the trailer for Boyfriend Dungeon. I was like, this is so weird. Like it's a dating simulator, and you date your weapons, and that was a big draw for me, right? It's like you
yeah, I
date
think
your weapons.
yeah,
And then we all just kind of had a laugh about it, how absurd the concept sounded, right? And then like when it came time to choose a game, like, hey, what do you guys want to vote on? Like this game just kind of took it, right?
yeah. I mean, yeah, because like that combo, it is an outrageous idea to be dating your weapons, but also it kind of makes sense, like to a visual novel because you're leveling them up by dating them, which
Yeah.
is like if you played any of the Persona games, like which is a JRPG, but it also has dating sim elements in it, and when you like deepen the bonds with your teammates and your friends, they get new attacks, or like they develop new abilities.
Oh, cool.
So I mean, still does it makes sense in that in that way. So um, but yeah, again, like dating your weapons is it's an odd idea, but I think it's fun and it makes sense.
I can't
Yeah,
think
and it
of
definitely was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. At the end of the day, we got to ask ourselves, like, it's a weird experience. Like we can share with you our other experiences, but like we've had some games that were like so unique and so like interesting, but they were just not fun or
Yeah.
like poorly executed and stuff like that. But this was a fun game, and I would definitely
Yeah,
recommend
I
it.
think that when I think about indie games, usually what I'm trying to look for in a game is something that um, is more story driven and maybe like to a much deeper level, like
Yeah.
something like Undertale, where like it really kind of dives deep. And with Boyfriend Dungeon, I felt like it was just enough.
Mhm.
Like it felt like everyone was three dimensional, but it also wasn't too heavy, so it still felt light and fun, like a summer vacation should feel.
Yeah.
So true. So true. Um, with that said, we do a thing where we feel like it's unfair to give like a number rating or a letter grading to like a game because like how could you compare Boyfriend Dungeon to Undertale, right? Like it's kind of like ridiculous, or to Braid or Super Meat Boy. They're just so different. Like how can we sit those numbers in the same league? So we try to basically base our rating system on what is the developer's vision and how well did they execute upon that vision, right? An example of that would be like we played this game. What was fucking Slugcat? What was that? Rain World. It was one of
Rainbow,
our
yeah.
first games where we all hated it. It was just like it was a very difficult game because the developer was like, I wanted to simulate what it would be like if you were a rat in the New York subway system and not knowing how to read these signs, not understanding how the world works. And yeah, they executed it very well in that like it was very frustrating and we died a lot and none of us had fun. But we all admitted that like in terms of like execution upon their vision, they executed it perfectly on all cylinders. Um, but that's not to say like, fun factor has a little bit part to do with it. But with that said, this is where we will come up with a custom rating system where it's like 1 to 17 bananas or like 1 to 5 angry cell phones. Like, what should we have for this one?
Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, Ben, you're the new guy. Like 1 to
Let's
blank,
hear-
huh?
How many weapons?
So well, let's just establish the rating system first. So it could be, if, for example, 1 to 4 flirty cats, or like 1 to 9. Give us a like a. So what is our rating system on this? Would you say?
Oh, I don't know. I'm blanking here. You're gonna have to help
No.
me out.
All right. Let's see. What's a fun thing in this game? Oh, I'll say, just for how unique the character is and how unique this game is, 1 to 15 albino crows. So 15 albino crows means
15.
that this
Okay.
game, the developers executed this game with their intent perfectly. They sought out to
Sure.
create this goal and this vision, and they executed perfectly. And 1 albino crow meaning they flopped it completely.
Hmm.
Um,
And we go into this not knowing what their intent was. Like this is like our take on what
yeah,
their
where we
intent as well.
project on
Yeah.
what their intent is. Yeah, correct.
Exactly. And like for me, it's like I think they went out to do a diverse dating sim with dungeon elements, dungeon crawl elements. I mean, that is the basis of it.
Right.
And oh, sorry. And I think like again, like to rate this game, I think you need to look at what makes a good dating sim, and for me it is likable characters, and this game has a lot of them. Like I think every character is like flushed out, and even if I hate Eric, I think that is a cool thing that they make me hate him because like
It means you
I
care.
feel so strongly. I mean,
Yeah.
exactly. It makes me
Yeah.
care, and even like shout out to cousin Jesse and mom. If you picked
Yeah.
having a mom, they call it like I think they are also so well written, and it's always like exciting to get a text from mom because you're just having fun with her, and I think they deliver very well with the dating sim. And if you look at the dungeon crawling, like what makes it good dungeon crawler, and for me like it is having diverse fighting styles, different ways to play it. I think they accomplished that, but I think the controls and the dungeons themselves leaves a little bit to wish for, which I hope that if they make another one of these games, they will probably like add more dungeons or more variety in the dungeons. Um, so if we go back to the rating, I would probably say, uh, well, 13 of 15. What was the
Was it
what was the
15
rating?
Yeah,
albino
15, I think.
crows?
Albino crows. Yeah, I think
13.
12, 13. Like it is almost there. Like for the dating sim, that half part of it is really great. The other part is okay.
That's good. Ben, I'll let you go.
Yeah, I would agree with Ilker. I'd say I would give it 13 out of 15 albino crows too. And for all the same reasons. And the minus 2 points would be one is that um, it felt like there could be more dungeons. And, given the fact that it's a Kickstarter and time wise, you kind of understand, but it still felt that where you wanted just a little bit, at least for me, a little bit more Dunj. And with the town, same thing where it's like it felt like there needed to be just a little bit, or I would have liked to see a little more interaction and things to do outside of like the main um, boyfriend beats.
Yeah.
So yeah, 13 out of 15.
Nice. I think I'm going to be a little bit more generous and more kind with my rating. I'm going to give it 14 albino crows simply for the fact that like they sought out to create a game that threaded such a fine needle, right? Of like, this could have been so cringy. I think the most cringy part, the reason why it doesn't get a 15 is because of Dunj, the word Dunj. But other than yeah, right. But other than that, like, my God, like they did something that, at least in my opinion, I feel like it did not offend me. And I feel like with the non-binary people that I know, it would not offend them. It treated that so respectfully. Dating sim wise, it felt like it was a good dating sim. Like, I think, Ben, you encompass it perfectly when you said that the characters feel three-dimensional. Like they weren't just like, you make me happy, you don't make me happy, but everyone had their own motivations and why they were what they were, right? Or why they acted the way they did. Including the side characters. Like, I didn't know that we would know so much about the barista at the cafe. You know, that was kind of neat that we would know a little bit more about them. Dungeon crawling wise, it was a fun dungeon crawler. I don't think it was unfun. I don't think it was bad by any means. Sure, it can be like cool, fleshed out even more, but I don't think it was trying to be the best dungeon crawler out there. I think it sought out to be a good dungeon crawler, and that's what we got. Projecting forward in the way indie games work, I think it would be really fun, like if they did it like Shovel Knight, how he's in every indie game DLC. What if we saw Hades as a weapon, a dateable weapon in this game in a future DLC? I think that'd be really fun,
a great idea.
right?
Yeah.
Like, or vice versa, seeing like one of the characters in this game, like Isaac or Sunder in Hades as a DLC character or something like that. I don't know.
I
It
mean,
could be really
it's
fun.
out on Switch, so it could be a Smash character.
Yeah, or hell, like, could we date Shovel Knight? That would be awesome. I would love to date Shovel
That
Knight.
would be really cool. Yeah.
But yeah, with the way that indie games are, the possibilities are endless, and I think this game has so much potential. It makes me excited, and like every now and then we play a game that reminds me of why this game is so, like, this genre is so fun, why we like these non-AAA games. And I think this game does it for me. It's like, my God, this is the essence of indie games for me. This is freaking awesome, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's why it gets 14 albino crows from me. Yeah, I can't speak highly enough about it. Like, if I don't recommend it to someone, I will at least tell my non-gamer friends about it. Like, that's how much I care about this game. It's really neat, really cool.
It's a really good game.
Yeah.
I like, again.
I
I
agree.
would love to see them do more of this. I hopefully they get the chance to make another one.
Yeah.
In the future. Yeah.
With that said, do we have any additional thoughts? Anything we'd like to get out there? Anything you feel like we can address a little bit more before we move on to our next chunk, which is next month's theme?
I don't know. Do we have anyone in chat that wanna comment
Anyone?
anything about the game?
I want to shout out to all our Russian bots in the chat.
And Wakai Simba.
And Wakai Simba. Anything that you want to address? I think we covered a lot. I feel fulfilled in what we addressed. If you guys do too, we can move forward. But yeah,
Let's do
feel
that.
pretty good.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, Ilker, we talked about earlier before Ben hopped on that normally towards the end of our streams, we like to say, hey, look, we our next month's game theme, let's decide it here. And then like we ping it in the chat, and everyone in our chat, in our group chat, throws in suggestions on what the game could be for based on the theme that we decide on the stream. But since you're our newbie, I think we would like to throw it to you to decide what game our next month's game should be. And you don't have to necessarily decide now, but you can throw up either some, like some games that you might have in mind, and we can help you decide, or you can be like, I really been wanting to play this and I want to discuss it with some people. Just throw that up. But
and if it's a game that you already played and really liked, and you want others to play it as well and to discuss it with, that is also a great chance to do that.
yes.
Okay, well, I'm prepared for that.
Oh, no worries. Yeah,
no
it's just
worries.
something
I'd
to
get
think
back
about.
to you for sure.
Yeah.
But
But
I'm
also
looking forward to it. Absolutely.
know that next month is October, and that could open us up to some really fun options. Spooky October month. But yeah, with that said,
Okay, cool. I'll think about that.
sweet. Yeah. Take your time. We usually try to like by the first of the month, try to lock down a game and then set a date from there. So you got like 2 weeks.
We'll say that.
Good to go.
Okay.
Sweet. But yeah, I guess that does it for this month's welcome back stream for Indie Game Social Club. I want to say thank you, Ben, for joining us. I hope you had a good time.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I'm going to sign us off the stream, and then we can chat a little bit for a few more minutes on Discord. But until then, say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.